Amendment 13 to the United States Constitution. Section 1. Neither slavery nor involuntary servitude, except as punishment for a crime whereof the party shall have been duly convicted, shall exist within the United States or any place subject to their jurisdiction. In the United States, the school-to-prison pipeline, also known as the school-to-prison link, school-to-prison nexus, or schoolhouse-to-jailhouse track, is a disproportionate tendency of minors and young adults from disadvantaged backgrounds to become incarcerated because of increasingly harsh school and municipal policies. Let's talk about it right now. As most of you know, I am an English teacher in inner city Dallas, and we are currently reading Punching the Air in our classroom. This is going to be a little miniature book review because I have finished it, and it's probably the best YA book I've ever read, despite the fact that it's written in verse. I don't really like poetry that much, and I'm not very comfortable teaching it, but we are reading this book, and I am teaching it. And what this book explores is racism and the school-to-prison pipeline. I have recently been getting lectured by my rich relatives on the school-to-prison pipeline, and it was very timely that I just happened to read this book around the same time that these lectures started. If you're not from the United States, you probably are not sure what the school-to-prison pipeline is. Basically, in layman's terms, in the most simplest form, schools, because of zero tolerance policies, instead of helping the bad kids, are pushing them out. Currently at my school, we have 2 of my students that are in juvie. One beat the crap out of her Spanish teacher. The other one brought a gun to school. Yeah, so Punching the Air is about a boy called Amal who is wrongfully convicted of basically putting another kid in a coma because of a series of events that led him to being with the wrong people at the wrong time, in the wrong place. He was in a rich part of New York City. He didn't belong there because he's obviously black and he is from low income. And so the white kids came up to him and was like, "What the hell are you doing on our turf?" A fight broke out, and Amal was the scapegoat for the whole thing, but he didn't do it. Another thing this book explores is slavery and the lasting trauma on Black youth, especially Black young men, because of the history of slavery in the United States. I read the 13th Amendment to you at the start of this video. When you're in jail, what are you? Is a scare tactic that's often used. When you're in jail, you're a slave, so don't go to jail. And technically, I guess slavery is still legal in the United States. They do forced labor in jail, but I do think they get like 15 cents an hour for it. But the school-to-prison pipeline is very complex. And there's a line in this book where he's at the juvie and he says, "Why does this feel so much like school?" And the reason I believe this is the best YA book I've ever read is because, one, the reading level is very low. An 8-year-old could read this. Like, the lexicon and the style and just the vocabulary is at a very low reading level, which is great because students need that. They don't need to be struggling through a book written for them when it's written on like a 10th grade level, like something like "I Am Not Your Perfect Mexican Daughter." That's written on a really high reading level, yet it has such a great message. But the main character is 15, and 15-year-olds are probably going to struggle through that book. Did you know that the average American reads at or below an 8th grade level? And the average American does math at or below a 6th grade level. So the stuff we consume needs to be a little bit easier for us to get through. And thank the Lord that punching the air is. So the vocabulary is easy, the lexile level is low, and it's very direct. We have the boy in this. He's on the bus on his way to school. He's a black boy, wrongfully convicted, and he says, I wonder if there was ever this much room on slave ships. Because like his ancestors, my ancestors, yes, I am part black, this young man is being taken into slavery. It's legal in the US to make slaves out of prisoners. And so the school to prison pipeline essentially targets these underprivileged children of color, pushes them out of the school and down the Northern Passage. But obviously it's more complicated than that. We have children at our school who are trying to kill people. We have children at our school who just don't give a crap and sit in the back of the classroom. I recently got reassigned because of personal choice I made. I was teaching 10th graders, now I teach seniors. The seniors, they want to graduate. If they make it to the senior year, they're like motivated to get out of the school and get their diploma. But sophomores, not so much. So when I was teaching sophomores, I had to make a choice. And I said, okay, the quote, bad ones, am I going to neglect the good ones who are motivated and want to get out of their situation by trying to pull the bad ones up and therefore lowering the good ones? Or am I going to bring the good ones up and ignore the bad ones because I'm not their parent? I didn't feel it was my job to social engineer. I was there to teach English. And so because of some stuff, and I'm not saying I made the right choice, I'm just saying I made the best choice for me as a person to survive in that hostile environment I was in, which a lot of it was not the kids' fault. A lot of it was stuff going on in the English department. I knew which kids wanted help and which ones doesn't, which I can't make them want to, quote, get better. And so the ones who were focused, who were there, who were listening to me, resulted in, what was the words they used? Low engagement in my class, which was a choice on my part, and they didn't like it, so they reassigned me to seniors. That's just the consequence. But these zero tolerance policies are a good and a bad thing. Like I did, mine was a little microcosm of what's going on. What are we supposed to do? Because at that point, it really does come down to choosing between your students. And this explores what happens when that goes horribly wrong. So are these zero tolerance policies right for schools? What do? Do we push these bad ones out, or do we keep them there to keep our teachers in danger, to keep our other students in danger when they're bringing guns to school and trying to kill people? What is the solution? Because this is the choice we've made at this point. Is it the right thing to do? I don't know. Is there a happy medium? I don't know. We can't get into these kids' heads. We can only make choices that are best for us and best for the kids that are cooperating. And the majority of children in my school cooperate. Yes, they are mouthy, because what they've been taught respect is a whole lot different than what respect actually is. So there's a lot of insubordination, but they'll do what we tell them. I mean, they're just mouthy. That's the only thing I can say. They do take more prompting to do their work than a kid in the suburbs, but they'll do it. You do have to monitor them more closely. So, like, if they're tired one day, if they had a bad day at home the night before, and they put their head down, they don't want to do their work, we just give them a little tap on the shoulder and say, hey, if you don't do this, you're going to fail. Come on, just do your best. And they cooperate. It's the ones that beat the crap out of their teacher, that bring guns to school, that bring drugs, that let people into the building, that rob Family Dollar. Yes, this has all happened. I am sitting here as a teacher asking my followers what you think the solution is. I can't recommend Punching the Air enough. It is such a good representation of what happens when the school to prison pipeline is abused and goes incredibly wrong. When these zero tolerance policies target kids like Amal, kids like my students, and what could possibly happen to them. And what do we need to do about this? I think this book, because it's so good, what's so good about it gets you thinking. And little lowly English teachers like me don't have the power to fix it. We have the power to teach our kids, and if they start threatening us, we have the power to report it, to call mom and be like, hey, this happened today. And that's it. It's just such a bigger part of a system, and we are just one little cog in the wheel. And what we can do is show these kids that we care about them, because the majority of us do. Yes, there are teachers who don't give a crap about the kids, but I love my kids. I care about my kids. Do I care about the ones that are bringing guns to school and beating the crap out of teachers? Yeah, I care. But at the same time, I have to protect my other kids. We have to protect the other students. We have to choose between our students. And right now, the United States has chosen the good ones. And when you don't look and you don't act like a good one, you can end up like Amal in this book. Punching the Air, 5 stars. Subscribers, what do you guys think the United States can do to combat the school to prison pipeline? Thank you so much for watching. Keep reading, keep writing, keep loving words, and I'll see you next time. Bye.